All right, let's get practicing in QuickBooks Online. Grab the link below in the description so that you can follow along. All right, here we are in the QBO Gym. And the QBO Gym is a place where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. We come out with new exercises each month and break it down for you into 4 different sections. Today, we are working in the March Year 1 Cool Down section. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what is going on in Craig's world this month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive pre-assessment quiz. Below that are the exercises in this section. At the bottom here is an optional area where after you have completed all of the exercises in this section, we do have some sample posts that you are welcome to use on your LinkedIn so that you can share with everybody what you have learned so far. So let's dive right into today's exercise where we're going to practice reconciling Craig's bank accounts. Go ahead and click on that to have the exercise pulled up. I have it over here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through our scenario. As a bookkeeper, your primary responsibility is to ensure that all financial transactions are currently categorized and match the flow of money into and out of the bank. You have just received the monthly statement from Craig's bank. Now it's time to confirm that all of the transactions have been correctly added to and categorized in QuickBooks Online. To complete this exercise, you will need a copy of Craig's bank statement. Click on the link beneath the cooldown video to grab a copy. So if I scroll back here in the gym up towards the top, here is that animated video. And below that, you will see this button that says bank statement. Go ahead and click on that to have it downloaded. I have it pulled up here on the left side of my screen. Once you download and open up the file, this is what it will look like. You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link below in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is the dashboard. Once you sign in, this is what it will look like. So let's go ahead and get started with the exercise. We need to get to the reconciliation screen. So to get there, we need to click on Accountant Tools and then select Reconcile. So Accountant Tools is on the top of the screen. Go ahead and click on that. And then under Quick Links, select Reconcile. Now, if this is your first time in the Reconciliation Center, you will get this welcome screen, and this shows up on the sample company as well. So this just gives you an overview of what is in this area. If you want more extra training, you could, of course, click on the video. We are not going to be using it here. We don't need to go through it here. All we need to do is just click on this Get Started button. And then another pop-up is going to show up. Go ahead and click on Let's Get Reconciled. And as a note here, in a real life scenario, you will not see the screen unless you are reconciling for the first time. Now we are reconciling the savings account. You can see that it says savings right here. So in the account field, we need to select savings. Currently it says checking, so just click into that box to expand it. Go ahead and select savings. In the ending balance field, we want to type the ending balance found on the sample bank statement. So if we go back to the bank statement here, that ending balance right here is $830.02. So let's click into this and click into the ending balance box. Type $830.02, I believe is what I said. Yes. So that is all good. Now, as for the ending date, in a real life scenario, you would use the ending date from the bank statement. But for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to use today's date. So in the ending date field, we're going to type a lowercase t to populate today's date. And just know that whenever you're doing this, your date may be a little bit different, and that's okay. So just type a lowercase t and you will have today's date show up for you. And we are all good here. All we need to do now is just click on the green Start Reconciling button. So go ahead and click on that. And our reconciliation screen is now showing up. Now, when starting to reconcile in the sample company, you will need to close out several navigation pop-ups, and then we will begin reconciliation by finding and checking all of the deposits. So right here, it is showing these are the navigational pop-ups. It's just QBO just giving you a little bit of extra information about this area. Go ahead and click the X out of it. If you happen to get more than one, click out of those as well. All right, so what the purpose of reconciliation here, just as a pause, is to make sure that whatever is on the bank statement is matching what is in QBO. So you will see the list of transactions here, and it will be all the transactions that are on or before the statement ending date, which is showing here. We just happen to have it as today's date. So right now, we are only seeing one, and if you notice that it says checking under account. So what does that mean? Let's go ahead and click on checking to expand it and get a better understanding of what this transaction is for. So after clicking on transaction, let's click on edit so that we can have the transaction pull up for us. And it is a bank deposit. And here you can see that Craig made a deposit to his checking account. Now, when you scroll down, you can see that when he did so, he put some of the funds in the savings account. So you can see it says checking. This is the bank deposit that went into the checking account, and the things that are checked are the things that went in. But if I scroll to the bottom here, there is this area that says cash back goes to savings, and then it has the amount, that $200. So now that we know that this is just money that he had, once he had deposited, he moved over to the savings account. So let's close out of this transaction because we know that it is properly done. Like, we know that this is what it should be. And if we go into the bank statement, we see deposit checking, which means that it was a deposit from the checking account for $200. So we are going to click on the circle next to this transaction to mark it as reconciled. So if you notice, you see on the bank statement, there are other transactions on here that are not showing up here on the reconciliation screen. So where are the other transactions? In a real life scenario, these would have come from the bank feeds. There are many reasons why they wouldn't. So, for instance, if the login information for the bank has changed and it hasn't been reconnected yet to QBO, if the bank changed their format and now QBO is no longer compatible with them, and more reasons as well. So, we could investigate this further, but let's focus on that task at hand. It's not uncommon to have to make manual adjustments. In fact, that's exactly why we reconcile every month, to make sure that all the records are correct. So we have 3 transactions that happened at the bank that need to be entered into QBO. First, we have a mobile deposit for $50. You can see that right here. When you ask Craig about this, he remembers that he won a raffle at a local Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the prize was $50. He deposited it directly into the savings account. So for this kind of transaction, we can use a simple bank statement for it. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm sorry, bank statement. I said bank deposit. It should have been a bank deposit, not bank statement. So let's go ahead and create that bank deposit transaction. We're going to click on the plus new button and then select bank deposit. So back here in the sample company, here is that plus new button on the top left corner of the screen. Click on that, and then under other, you can select bank deposit. Now, note that if you completed the exercise for Craig's other mobile deposits in the same session of the sample company, you will not see the select the payments included in this deposit section. That is this one right here. And that's because you have already moved out everything from undeposited funds. So basically what we're saying here is that if you did some previous exercises in the same session of the sample company, you may not see these appear for you. I am in a brand new session, and so that's why they are showing up. It's okay if it doesn't. It's not needed for this part of the exercise, but just know that your screen may be different than mine if you did other exercises in the same session of the sample company. So because this was a bank deposit that was made into the savings account, in the account field, we need to select savings. So click that down arrow in the account and select savings. Now in the date field, we want to select the day before today's date. And you'll notice that your date will be different than what is shown on my screen. So go ahead and click that calendar and then go ahead and select the day before today. In the add funds to this deposit section in the account field, we want to select other income. So if we go down here and click on this account field, you could click into it 2 times and you can either scroll down until you get to other income or you can type it in the box. So go ahead and select it when you do find it. In the description field, let's type Chamber of Commerce raffle. So click into that. Go ahead and type Chamber of Commerce raffle. Did I spell that correctly? Chamber of Commerce raffle. Yes. Then in the amount field, we want to type 50. So click into that amount, type 50. And now it is showing us the other funds is $50. Now you'll note that you could create the Chamber of Commerce as a vendor in order to populate the received from field, but it's not absolutely necessary. You could also indicate the details of the check he received, but that's also not necessary. So if you created them as a vendor, it would show up here. And you could also make a note about it with the check details if it was a check that he had received. So we don't need it for this purpose. We just need to make sure that it is correctly categorized here and in QBO. So we're going to click on the down arrow next to Save and New and then select Save and Close. So click on that down arrow and then click Save and Close. And now that deposit has been saved and you will see it is now showing up here on the reconciliation screen right here. Go ahead and click on that circle next to that transaction to mark it reconciled. Now, as a really quick note here, before I had hit save and close out of it, as I mentioned before, there were those 2 that were showing in undeposited funds. And the reason they're not showing up here is because we did not click them. We did not check those off. So if we had checked those off, it would show up here, but it didn't. So I know that may seem a little confusing why there were other things in the bank deposit and they didn't show up here. But if you don't check off the deposits or the transactions themselves, they're not going to show up here. So I just wanted to make a quick note of that in case that was confusing. Now, the next item on the bank statement is an ATM withdrawal. So if I go here, you see an ATM withdrawal for $20. When you ask Craig about this, he says he wanted to have some cash on hand that he could use for incidentals. You explain to him that he can't just take out cash without accounting for it and that he must keep it separate from his personal money. You will set up a petty cash fund and then it will need to be monitored and reconciled manually from time to time. Now, taking money out of one bank account, the bank, and into another, the petty cash fund, is recorded using a transfer. Luckily, QBO allows us to create the petty cash fund at the same time that we do the transfer. So anytime you're moving money around from bank account to bank account, even if it's a petty cash fund, it's considered a bank account. And you'll see as we set it up here in a moment, it is just a transfer transaction. So let's get that pulled up. We just need to click on the click on the plus new button and then click on transfer. So once again, that plus new button on the top left corner, click on that, and then under other, select transfer. And you will see it show up for us. We need to add in the transfer funds field, the savings account. So click in the down arrow right here. And when you select savings, it'll show up here. This balance is what the balance is showing in QBO. It is not necessarily the at the moment balance that is in the savings account. It is just what is recorded here in, excuse me, what QBO is seeing recorded here based on the transactions. So just keep that in mind if you're ever doing a transfer and you see this balance and it doesn't match what's currently in the bank account, just know that it's because of what QBO has recorded at that moment. All right, so in the excuse me, in the transfer funds to field, we're going to select plus add new because we need to create that petty cash fund. So click the down arrow and then select plus add new. and this will show up for us. Now, the account type field should already be set as bank, which is what I had mentioned before. It's going to be set up as a bank. And the detail type field should already be set up as cash on hand. If not, just go ahead and make those changes. For me, it is showing up here. So in the name field, we're just going to make the adjustment to say petty cash. So click into the name field, delete what is currently there, and then type petty cash. We're going to leave everything else on as is, and then we're going to click on the green Save and Close button. Before I do, just to mention here, this is giving you a description of what the cash on hand account means, which is petty cash. So if you're ever creating a new account for anything, really, this can be helpful in helping you determine what type of, the detail type for the account. So let's go ahead and click on the green Save and Close button. And since that's a new account, it's not showing as a balance here at all. So in the transfer amount field, we're going to type 20. So click into that transfer amount field, type 20. And we're going to leave everything else as is. All we need to do now is just click that down arrow next to Save and New and then select Save and Close. So the down arrow right there and then select Save and Close. And that transfer has been saved. And when we get back to the reconciliation screen, you can see that petty cash is now showing up. So let's click on the circle to mark this transaction as reconciled. Our last transaction is the interest on the account. We can use another bank deposit transaction for this. So if we go back here, we see that the 2 cents is interest paid into the account. So we need to put that as, record that as a bank deposit. So in the, we're going to click the plus new button and then click bank deposit. Right up here on the top left corner, click on that plus new and then once again, click on bank deposit. First, we need to make sure that the account is savings and that the date is before today's date. So here is the savings account right here. I need to change this date to make it the day before today. If you are noticing the same thing, please make that change. Otherwise, it may not show up on the reconciliation screen. So in the add funds to this deposit section in the account field, we want to select interest earned. So down in this section, we are going to click on this field right here. You can either scroll until you find it, or you can just type it in. It is an other income account. So once you find it, go ahead and select interest earned. We don't need a description here. All we need to do is just put the amount, which is 0.02 for 2 cents. So type in that 0.02. And now we can go ahead and save and close this. So go ahead and click on that green Save and Close button. Now that bank deposit has been saved, and now you can see that interest earned right here. We're going to click on that circle. Now, you may be wondering if we did 2 bank deposits, why we just didn't put everything in at the same time. And there may be a couple of reasons. The biggest one is that it looks like these were done at separate times. They were not done together. The other thing is too, along with that, separate times, it may also be separate dates. So it's really important to make sure that your dates and what you are recording here in QBO are matching the actions that you are doing in real life. So that is why we have 2 different bank statements for it. Now, after we have clicked on that circle, you can see that the difference is now showing as 0 right here, which is perfect. That means that everything that is on the bank statement is matching here in QBO. So we are all finished reconciling the account. All we need to do now is just click on the Finish Now button right here at the top right corner. And then this pop-out will appear for us. So we're going to click Done. But as a note here, in real life, you would have an opportunity to attach a statement. It would say Attach Statement right here. The sample company does not allow you to do this, so there's nothing there. But just know that that is an option to do in real life. So go ahead and click on that green Done button. And there you go. You have now reconciled the savings accounts. And if you have any questions or want to know more about the QBO Gym, just click on the link below in the description. We move through the cooldown section with our next exercise where we practice running reports. And I will see you in the next video.